I'm David Knight for the Infowars Nightly News. Now, every year at New Year's, it's customary to think back at public figures who have passed from the scene. And while there have been some great leaders in the cause of individual freedom and dignity who passed this year, Russell Means immediately comes to mind, I thought it'd be interesting for us to think back at liberties that have died this year, and maybe some places where we've gained. Well, the year began with the government declaring war on our right to trial by jury with the NDAA. Rolling back hundreds of years of safeguards, Obama signed it into law last New Year's Eve, claiming he didn't want it, then fought relentlessly in the courts to keep it and won there. Meanwhile, the Senate, after claiming the NDAA did nothing to trial by jury, rejected Paul's amendment, basically restating the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, settled on a head-fake amendment by Feinstein, and then leadership threw the amendment out. And while we're talking about replacing due process with star chamber procedures, let's remember that the TSA is accusing and punishing people in secret. Doug Hagman helped us break the story about Wade Hicks, who was pulled off of a plane and stranded in Hawaii after being secretly put on a no-fly list. And like some nightmare from a Kafka novel, he could get no response from the bureaucracy as to why he was put on the list, no opportunity to defend himself against the charges, and no information about his current status. And that's not an isolated case. Well, how about the right to life itself? How about the right to make decisions about your own health care? In June 2012, Chief Supreme Court Justice Roberts suddenly and inexplicably reversed his position on Obamacare and signed on to the idea that government can coerce, mandate, and deny health care, that the government can micromanage every individual's health care choices. And what about the right to not violate your conscience by being forced to contribute to eugenics abortion funding? Beginning January the 1st, Hobby Lobby is facing fines of $1.3 million per day for not providing birth control to its employees as mandated by the federal government. And Sonia Sotomayor, Obama's Supreme Court appointee, denied an emergency stay on the fine while the case is being appealed. Well, how about the right to peacefully assemble and redress the government for grievances? H.R. 347, signed by Obama last March, criminalizes as a federal offense many aspects of protest when the Secret Service is present. And it puts the no free speech zones on steroids. As Representative Justin Amash of Michigan explained, the bill expands current law to make it a crime to enter or remain in an area where an official is visiting, even if the person does not know it's illegal to be in that area and has no reason to suspect it's illegal. How about fair and honest elections? Remember all the corruption in the GOP primaries in Iowa, Maine, Nevada, and other states? How about that phony scripted voice vote that Boehner announced at the GOP convention? Looking at the TSA, 2012 saw them expanding their Fourth Amendment violations beyond the airports while training state employees to do the same. Well, since the government thinks that it's God, it has to be omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. They want to know if you're sleeping, they want to know if you're awake, and they want to know if you've been bad or good. So it's no surprise that this year the government reauthorized FISA, their warrantless wiretapping program. With the NSA's $2 billion Utah data center fortress coming online in September 2013, did anyone really think there was going to be a review of the legality of FISA? As Wired magazine quoted one senior intelligence official, everybody's a target. And they have so much storage that they have yottabytes worth of data. That's right, a yottabyte. Not that kind of Yoda. 1 trillion terabytes. It will capture all forms of communication, including the complete contents of private emails, cell phone calls, and internet searches, as well as all sorts of personal data trails, parking receipts, travel itineraries, bookstore purchases, and other digital pocket litter. Well, all of our liberties are under constant attack. Many are dead, but even the dead ones can be revived, and people are beginning to wake up. If they want to watch us, we're going to watch them back. Authoritarian attempts to prosecute citizens for filming police doing their job in public have consistently been shot down by the courts. They even tried to sentence one man to multiple 15-year sentences. Attempts to censor the internet, SOPA, PIPA, ACTA, even a recent UN treaty have been beaten back by public resistance. But they will continue to attack, and we must continue to defend our internet freedom. A major blow was dealt to the war on drugs and to prohibition this year with the legalization of marijuana in Colorado and Washington. Even more importantly, the measures are state nullification of federal unconstitutional laws and in other acts of defiance of federal unconstitutional laws, both the states of Virginia and Michigan passed anti-NDAA bills this year. Bills in Texas will come up in 2013 to nullify both the NDAA and TSA sexual assaults. And pastors who've been tranquilized and silenced for 60 years by IRS rules woke up en masse this year. Over 1,500 pastors defied unconstitutional laws restricting free speech by violating IRS gag rules, audio taping their violations, and sending them to the IRS. But the key fight this year is going to be the right of the people to keep and bear arms. People from potheads to pastors are waking up to federal tyranny. Will we be able to convince liberals that a government that violates every one of our recognized civil liberties, a government that wants to track every detail of your life, a government that wants to deny legal protections that have stood against tyranny for centuries? Can we convince civil libertarians that this government cannot be trusted with a monopoly of force? Will we stand up en masse to declare that the Second Amendment is the line in the sand? We'll find out this year. I'm David Knight for the Infowars Nightly News.